that they've cast, right? So passing the Save
No,
America
Congressman.
Act would help deal with that problem.
Yes, Congressman.
Second question. As Attorney General, you're in charge of the Executive Office of Immigration Review, correct?
Don't forget the word absolutely until the end of the video. You'll understand why when you watch it. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General nominee, leaned into the microphone and said, absolutely, live on air, in front of the cameras, in front of millions of viewers. He answered the question, will new indictments come, with definitely. And at that moment, the audience froze, because Bondi had never said anything so clear before. He had said, we will investigate. He had said, we will evaluate. He had said, there are procedures. But he never said, definitely. And now he had said it, in Chip Roy's trap. A Republican congressman from Texas had extracted a historic confession from a candidate in his own party during a live broadcast. Watch this video until the end, because in the next few minutes, you will see how a Republican congressman cornered a candidate from his own party and got him to confess absolutely. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe now and turn on notifications, because what happened in Congress today was not just a confirmation hearing. This was the first official admission about future indictments. Let's get to know Chip Roy. He is 53 years old and a Republican congressman from Texas's 21st District, but not just any ordinary Republican. Ted Cruz's former chief of staff. He served as a federal prosecutor, constitutional law expert, principled conservative, member of the Freedom Caucus, and most importantly, someone who is not always behind Trump. Roy supported Trump in the 2020 election, but he did not support the election challenge after the events of January 6th. He found it unconstitutional. Roy does not blindly follow the party line. He does what the Constitution says. It asks for what the law requires. And today, the questions he would ask Bondi would stem precisely from these principles. Because Roy knew, if Bondi becomes Attorney General and issues political indictments, it could be unconstitutional, and Roy was going to test it live on air. Pam Bondi, 60, former Florida Attorney General, Trump nominee for Attorney General. She was questioned for hours during the hearing. The Epstein files were questioned, bribery allegations were questioned, evidence concealment was questioned, and every time the same defenses. Procedures, we'll evaluate. Timing is important, but he never gave a clear answer. When Chip Roy stood up, Bondi planned to continue with this strategy, but Roy was going to play a different game. 3:33 p.m. The trial was almost over. Bondi was tired but relieved. Difficult questions had come, but he had left them unanswered. When Roy walked up to the podium, Bondi looked like she was in her routine. He might have thought, another Republican. He'll ask easy questions, but Roy's first question would end Bondi's relief.
Ms. Bondi, Roy said, his voice clear but with a Texas accent, I will start with a very simple question. If you become the Minister of Justice, what will be your first priority? Bondi smiled. This was an easy question. Congressman, to manage the Department of Justice to the highest standards to ensure the equal application of the laws. Member of Congress, to manage the Department of Justice to the highest standards to ensure the equal application of the laws. No, Roy raised his hand. Let's not speak generally. I will ask specifically, what is your top priority? Which issue will you address first? Bondi hesitated. There are many issues, all of them important. Choose. Roy waited. 1. What first? Bondi thought. We will investigate the allegations of interference in the 2020 election. Roy nodded. Election interference. Okay. Will an indictment be issued on this matter? Bondi immediately gave an evasive answer. The evidence will be examined. Procedures. Yes or no? Roy interrupted him. Will an indictment be issued? Bondi remained silent. Roy continued. Because look, President Trump has said repeatedly the election was stolen. They should be held accountable. If you become the Minister of Justice, will you issue an indictment? Bondi replied, It depends on the evidence. Are there any evidence? Roy asked. An investigation will be conducted, but right now, is there any evidence? Roy was insistent. Bondi tried to speak. Some allegations, Roy interrupted. Not some claims. Evidence. Evidence that can be brought to court, presented before a jury, and can lead to a conviction. Is there? Bondi remained silent. Roy shook his head. All right. The answer is, I don't know, apparently. Then let me ask you about another topic. Now I need to stop here, because Roy hasn't set the real trap yet. He cornered Bondi on election interference, but the real target is different. Roy is luring Bondi into a trap step by step, and at the end of that trap, there's a definitely confession. If you've watched this video up to this point, please hit the like button, and write in the comments, what do you think is Roy's main target? What does he want Bondi to confess? Leave your guesses behind, because now Roy is going to get to the main question.
Roy opened a new topic. Ms. Bondi, another topic, the Hunter Biden investigation. You know the special prosecutor submitted a report. There were some accusations, but there are other allegations as well. Tax evasion, foreign agent activities, FARA violations. What will you do about these? Bondi replied, we will review the special prosecutor's report. And, Roy waited, and if necessary, an additional investigation will be opened. If necessary? Roy leaned forward. So you don't know right now? Is it necessary or not? Bondi went on the defensive. Before being a Congress member, I couldn't see the files in detail as the Attorney General. But overall, Roy interrupted, if a special prosecutor has addressed some charges, but other allegations are still open, what would you do as Attorney General? As a general principle, Bondi said, each case is evaluated on its own, he said. Roy smiled. Diplomatic answer. Okay, then let me ask you more directly. He stopped. The room waited. If you become Attorney General, will there be a new indictment against Hunter Biden? Bondi immediately answered. Such decisions are based on evidence. Ms. Bondi, Roy raised his voice. I asked you a question. Yes or no, will a new indictment be issued? Bondi remained silent. Roy continued. Because you see, President Trump is very clear on this matter. He said, Hunter Biden should be held accountable. You are his Attorney General. Will he be held accountable? Bondi was cautious in his careful responses. If there is evidence. Are there? Roy interrupted. Is there any evidence? Bondi hesitated. An investigation will be conducted. Roy shook his head. Another inspection? Okay, one more thing. He pulled out a list from the Roy file. Ms. Bondi, I will read you a list, and after each name I will ask you the same question. He showed the list. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell, Liz Cheney, Anthony Fauci, Christopher Wray, Merrick Garland. Roy stopped. 9 names. And my question is, if you become the Minister of Justice, will any of these names be subject to a criminal investigation? The hall fell silent. This was a direct question. Bondi swallowed. Congressman, I am not yet the Attorney General. Hypothetically, Roy was insistent, if you become the Minister of Justice, will you launch an investigation into one of these 9 names? Bondi gave an evasive answer. Each issue is unique in its own right. Yes or no, Roy shouted. 9 names. One of them. Will you open an investigation? Bondi remained silent. Roy stood up. Because look, this is very important. President Trump said during the campaign that these individuals should be held accountable. You are his Attorney General. Will they be held accountable? Bondi answered carefully. If there is a crime, everyone will be held accountable. Is there a crime? Roy asked. Is there a crime in one of these 9 names, as you know? Bondi replied, I haven't seen the files. But in general, Roy insists, is there anything about these names, according to publicly available information, that would justify opening an investigation?
Bondi spoke after a long silence. Some allegations may need to be investigated. Roy immediately jumped in. Investigation of some allegations. So yes, an investigation can be initiated. Is that correct? Bondi, be careful. An investigation will be conducted, and if there are any results, what happens if a result comes out? Roy interrupted. Indictment? Bondi remained silent again. Roy asked the last question.
Miss Bondi, I will ask you a very clear question. Please answer very clearly. If you become the Minister of Justice, do you expect new criminal indictments to be issued in the next 4 years? If you have reached this point in the video, share it with your friends, because now the main question has come. Are you expecting new indictments? And Bondi's answer will be historic. Bondi leaned into the microphone. He thought carefully. Then he answered. If the evidence, are you waiting? Roy repeated, louder. Yes or no? Will new indictments be issued? Bondi paused. 3 seconds. 5 seconds. He looked at his lawyer. The lawyer slightly shook his head. It was as if he was saying, be careful. But Bondi was in a corner. If she said no, Trump supporters would go crazy. If he said maybe, Roy wouldn't leave. There was only one option. Yes. Then he answered. Yes, I'm waiting. The hall fell silent. The journalists stopped their pens. Everyone waited. But Roy did not stop. He leaned forward. You are waiting. How certain? 50%? 70%? Bondi is cautious. It's based on evidence. But you're waiting, Roy emphasized. So, will it happen or not? Be clear. Will new indictments be coming? Bondi took a deep breath. He couldn't escape this question. He approached the microphone, and he said that word, historic word. Absolutely, he said. One word, clear, open, irrevocable. Definitely. The journalists immediately took notes. The cameras zoomed in on Bondi's face. Democrats were shocked. Republicans applauded, but Roy did not. He just looked, because the trap had been set. Roy turned back, asked again to make it official. Did you say definitely? Are you sure? Definitely new indictments will come. Bondi could no longer turn back. Yes, absolutely. If there is evidence, new indictments will be issued. Roy took one step further. And is there evidence? Bondi hesitated. An investigation will be conducted. Roy smiled. But you said definitely, so you believe there is evidence, right? Bondi noticed the trap, but it was too late. He had said definitely. He couldn't take it back. Roy sat down. There was no need for more questions. He had gotten the answer. Definitely. Bondi had said on live broadcast and underlined, definitely new indictments will come. There were 9 names on the list. Biden, Harris, Pelosi, Schiff, Swalwell, Cheney, Fauci, Wray, Garland. And Bondi said, absolutely. The room fell silent. Roy said his final words. Thank you, Miss Bondi. You answered very clearly. It has been recorded. Definitely new indictments will come. The American people heard it. I have no further questions. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this story doesn't end here. Bondi said, absolutely, on live broadcast, on record, and if he becomes the Minister of Justice, he will have to keep his promise. There are 9 names on the list. Definitely, he said. Which ones will have an indictment? Chip Roy cornered Pam Bondi today, step by step. He asked about election interference, but didn't get an answer. Hunter Biden asked, but did not get a clear answer. Then he came up with a list of 9 names. Biden, Harris, Pelosi, Schiff, Swalwell, Cheney, Fauci, Wray, Garland. Will new indictments come out? He asked, and Bondi fell into the trap. Definitely, he said. One word, clear answer. And that word changed everything. It's no longer speculation. No longer speculation. Bondi, below, said definitely more indictments are coming. Roy, as a Republican, asked the toughest question to his party's candidate, and he got an answer. A historic answer. Absolutely.